You're welcome to the Policy Council. My name is Adebayo. Today we focus on entrepreneurship, and my objective is to communicate the elements and the attributes of entrepreneurship to aspiring entrepreneurs, and to offer some lessons in how one successful young entrepreneur managed his transition. Enjoy the program. You're welcome back. It's still the Policy Council, and my guest is an entrepreneur. He started his business at the age of 33. Of course, that was 9 years ago, so I've told you his age, but he's been fairly successful at it. And I thought that it would be useful for aspiring entrepreneurs to listen to his story. He's the CEO of Cleanace, the dry cleaning, or indeed a cleaning enterprise, Ibukun Adebayo.
Thank you.
You're welcome to the Policy Council.
Thank you, Egbon.
Now, I remember you coming to my office.
Yes.
Before you started.
That was Sanusi Fafunwa, right?
On Sanusi Fafunwa.
Yes, that's right.
Almost 10 years ago.
Yes, exactly.
And you had not done anything.
No.
You were just thinking.
Yes.
So tell us the story of Cleanace.
Cleanace, like a very little dream, like we all have. We started, I go back to where my grandfather used to be a washerman. My father was a chartered accountant, but he decided when he was retiring, he wanted to keep his father's dream business alive. So, having traveled all over the world, he decided to do a coin-operated, the laundromat style of, wanted to do something unique. And unfortunately, or would I say fortunately, I left Federal Government College, Maiduguri, in 1988. And bros, you won't believe, not until 1994, I did not gain admission into the university. I actually wrote JAMB 6 times. In fact, there was a year that we wrote JAMB twice. There was another JAMB that was cancelled. So I just was in all that rumble. But in 1991 was when my father started that laundromat. So I saw right from the importation of the equipment to the clearing, installation. He was working with the welders, the bricklayers, electricians. And I mean, my not going to school gave me...
It was probably a divinely ordained thing that you didn't understand.
And that is why I could not say if it is fortunate or unfortunate. But I grew up also loving to iron. I loved ironing on Saturdays. I was in Form 1 in Fimbas. And I ironed so well that my father's friends that lived on the streets, on our streets, in Ikeja. Ikeja. They used to bring their clothes to me on Saturdays. And I will iron all day. My father didn't know how to tell them to stop. So he just found, it was in those days where you don't need to write common entrance, you can enter an FGC. My father threw me so far, he threw me to my Maiduguri FGC, that at least this boy, all your own children are writing their homeworks and their lesson teachers, and my own son is wasting his life, as he supposed, wasting his life ironing all day long. And I came back from secondary school, and that was when I fell into this JAMB wahala. In about 1996 was when my cousin, she was looking at she kept asking me, Ibukun, what business can we do in Nigeria? I said, sister, the only business that makes sense to me is laundry and dry cleaning. And she said, how come? So I took her to my father's place. We looked at this and that. I told her all the breakdowns and all the errors my father was making. And she went abroad, went to the school of dry cleaning, bought equipment, and brought in even an expatriate and landed that business. Okay. In 1994, I gained admission to Ondo State University to read economics. I went, and my father gave me, being an entrepreneur and somebody who was seen, I used to be a very tough child. So my father asked me, he said, Ibukun, now that you are finished, what do you want to do? And he was shocked when I told him that it is laundry and dry cleaning that I still wanted to settle into. Meanwhile, when I was back in school, our days were those days we wore striped shirts, multicolored striped shirts, and Polo Ralph, Tommy Hilfiger, and all that. My friends will wash theirs, and it will run colors. But they found out that, Ibukun, how do you wash your own when you know the wrong color? And it was just a simple solution. When I want to rinse it, I put small salt in water so that by the time I rinse it, it holds the color fast. And even there, I started a small laundry, and I was chopping the money of these boys back and forth. Some of them even believed I took it to Lagos to do, and they didn't know that right there in Adebayo, in my compound there, I was doing that, and gradually I was cleaning up. So my love had gone so deep into dry cleaning that when my father was asking me, there was nothing else to say. I said, Daddy. But my father did not appreciate the fact that we have seen.
You had gone through, except that you are now awarded the degree.
Yes.
You had gone through extensive studies
in dry cleaning. I had gone online, and coming back to my cousin. I finished, my father said, you know what, just go and manage one small shop of my father. And that was 1999, 2000. And that was when Marwa Gardens was being built. So I got a personal shop. And my cousin, the other dry cleaner, was the one that funded that shop for me. And what I did then was I took the clothes at a higher price, took to my father's place. And my father charged cheaper, lower, and I was saving myself. I was making a margin there. And when the business started to grow, and my father's sales kept going on, I said, before my father will go and hear it from an outsider, let me tell him what is happening. So I said, Daddy, it was one Tuesday, early Tuesday morning in March 2001. And I said, Daddy, so and so, I have one small shop. My father said, you mean you have your, okay. And that somebody had been telling him that there was something up my sleeves. I said, My father called his friends. And his friends came in and said, but it's a good thing this boy is doing. And he's telling you he's engaging your business and he's making something for himself. My father said, no, just leave, go and manage your... That's how I found myself working for my cousin. And I was there for 4 years until December 31st. Just about this time, I was just about winding down at my cousin's business. And we registered cleanliness December 28th, 2004. And in January 1st, after my father had chased me out of his own business about 4 years, we normally will have a New Year lunch at my father's, and everybody my siblings, we all bring our children, greet Daddy. And I said, Daddy, before you go and hear from outside, yesterday, this was January 1st, so I told him, Daddy, yesterday,
December 31st,
I'm not working with my cousin at her dry cleaners anymore. And he said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to set up my own business. And he said, where are you going to get the funds from? I now started where I met you, Lagos Business School. I said, when I did the SMP course in Lagos Business School in 2003, there were a couple of bank managers in my class. I was actually the youngest in the class. I had AGMs, even in because it was a senior management program. So, and a lot of them had seen the zeal and the drive and how I was all over the class, and they knew definitely that
man is
your own career, you are a dry cleaner, just go and found. And a lot of them had given me their words that, you know what, anyhow, we will help you when you get there. And true to their words, the person that bought me washing machine, the person that gave me air conditioners, the person that bought irons, and the person that even bought the first tailoring machine that we use for alteration. And that's how everybody... When I told my father that I had friends that were going to help me with funds, my father said nobody on earth will ever do that for anybody. That if I am wise, I should go and pray very well. I know, and go and meet your cousin.
Let's take a short time out.
Thank you.
And then, so at this point, January 1, 2004,
yes,
you started cleaning.
Yes.
We'll be right back. You're welcome back. It's still the Policy Council, and we're discussing entrepreneurship, and I'm having a fascinating conversation with someone I consider an aburo, but of course, also a very successful entrepreneur, Ibukun Adebayo. So Ibukun, let's continue the story. But before you go on, I want to ask you a question, and this question has been asked in academia, and it still continues to be asked. Do you believe that entrepreneurs are born, or are they made? Is this something you bring to the world? If you don't have it, you don't have it? Or is this something that you can acquire and learn? Is it the product of experience, or is it the product of innate ability? What do you think?
Well, coming back to my own
your own experience,
my own real life situation, I was actually, I mean, with my story, you know, I was a born failure. But, you know, my father, well, the first answer is entrepreneurs are made. You could come from anywhere. You could have been anything.
You could have been a failure.
The sons of entrepreneurs could be failures. And the sons of
washermen
could go mega. True. From my own experience, but there was just something. I mean, I think street wisdom. I mean, Lagos. I mean, we liked designer clothes. We liked the nice, flashy cars. But there was this desire in us that we wanted to work to get those things. We don't want to steal. We don't want to lie. But you know what? Like the Bible rightly says, whatsoever your hand findeth to do, you do it with all your might. I mean, it's so. I think people who have challenges of growing up, maybe they didn't have people that encouraged them. The discouragement actually turned to be encouragement for them, because, you know, if everybody is forsaking you, you know what? Then that's like Yoruba will say, you know, and I desired a happy family, not large. I mean, a comfortable lifestyle, not, you know. But I looked at it that, you know what? My mother was divorced, had separated from my father even before I was born. So, I mean, I grew up in Kano. I mean, like my elder brother was, I mean, he lived with my father. I mean, he went to Corona. I went to all the local schools. In fact, when I left Kano with my grandparents, I went to one school in Clegg, Surulere Primary School. I'm sorry for all those of you that went there, but you know what? I was there as well. But we can still sit today to the glory of God with people who have gone to Harvard, who have gone to Stanford, who've been places. And it is not about how we were born. It was the desire in us that says, you know what, at any cost, we must survive. We must succeed. I think so. For me, entrepreneurs they are made. There could be parents that encourage them. There could be aunties that encourage them.
They could be shaped by circumstances.
Yes,
they could have taught themselves.
Exactly.
They could have learned from a
mentor. Yes, but they were. I mean, anybody can succeed. In fact, everybody must succeed.
Okay, let's take another time out, and then we'll start again with how Cleanest has evolved from that day in 2004 when you started to the current time. We'll be right back.
Government wants our city to become a mega modern city, and so government is providing modern markets for us to carry out our business. Now, this requires money, so we need to pay our taxes to help government to help us. I pay my taxes. I hope you've paid yours. I pay. Pay your tax. It's your civic responsibility. It's your duty. It's the law.
You're welcome back. It's the Policy Council, and I'm sure we're having this insightful, impactful conversation. I hope you're all tuned on and listening. So Ibukun, you founded this January 2004.
2005.
2005.
Yes.
So take us through the evolution, the challenges, and your current status.
At the time you taught me so much that, in fact, and truly, not just because we are sitting here, it can take a lifetime to put all those things into proper practice. There's my life, after that meeting in January 1st with my father, by January 7th, my father had reported me to all our village in Ondo, all my uncles and aunties, and said, look at this boy. After I had sent him to school, to work with me, he didn't work with me. He went to work for his cousin. Now he has finished working for his cousin. They are making tons of millions in dry cleaning. My own dry cleaning company that was the grooming room for him, he does not see. That's how my father cajoled. He brought me back into his system. After 4.5 years that I was with my cousin. But we couldn't last because my father just couldn't. Because at the time I started that little shop, I knew maybe 1/10 of what I had known. At this time that I had worked with my cousin, I had been exposed. She gave me extreme open hands to do whatever, however, And you know, all the innovation and creativity, every kind of strategy, anything I thought about, I had a platform to execute, to just put it, and to God be the glory, we succeeded in grand style, beyond anybody. In fact, her business plan was being revisited every 2 months because the sales were just kicking and kicking. I mean,
but that's probably the Nigeria, well, at least around Lagos.
Yes.
That's probably the number one dry cleaning
in Nigeria, and we follow very closely after too.
Okay. Interesting.
You know, but my father brought me back to a system. So, but at that time, my contentions with reality. I said, Daddy, you know what? Is either you leave this business. This is not the time that I was going to bring closer. Is either you leave this business. Just tell me what you want, and I will be delivering that. But that interference, I cannot manage it. We tried to work together for about 4, 5, 6 months. All the goodwill I brought from my cousin's place and all my everything I spent in trying to remold my father's business. And the business was, I mean, it took off. And that was when I called my father's attention to say that, you know, that there's some money that has entered into this business. That money has to come out because you are the sole signatory. But unfortunately, my father and I, we lost it again. And at the time, this is how Cleanest was formed. In September, when we were starting, I could not boast of 500,000 naira. My father had kicked me out of his business the second time. And you know, you say, twice beating. My case was 10 times. I was, oh no, I mean, I was battered. And that says, I started running from cousin to auntie, to one church friend, to one brother, to one, and you know, everybody had the same problem I had. There was no money. So how can we start a business with no money? And for me, like they say that the sweetness of success is in the story. I sit here before you, bros, today to declare that there is nothing God cannot do. It depends on us. A lot of us, with our mouths, we say we want to succeed, but truly our hearts are not there. Despite the fact of, when I was working with my cousin, I had an official car, I had a driver, I had allowances that multiplied over my salary, I had bonuses, all sorts. I became the person that in my own house, I was living somewhere in Pedro, just in Bariga, Pedro, between Charlie Boy. And in my house there, I was going about collecting the clothes and I was washing it with my own hands. In fact, I had a generator and I had one small steam iron. I did not know my generator was strong enough to power the steam iron. So what I do is, I will leave, at that time I married in 2003. So I leave my little boy and my wife to sleep in the room. And I will go and sleep in the sitting room and put on all the fluorescent and everything so that when NEPA brings back power, the light will wake me up and I will iron till morning. Then I will now go back and start delivering and collecting others. And that's how we started, from one customer to 5 to 10. And to the glory of God, today we are counting 10,000s of customers.
You have many outlets around Lagos.
Today we have 10 outlets in Lagos alone. And we have a fantastic factory in Abuja, off Aminu Kano. You know, so we started from zero. I had a neighbor that lived downstairs in the flat in the building where we lived. And I don't know, but what he said was, God told him that this boy will succeed. And it will be a shame to you if you cannot tap into that story at those days. And that's where we cannot tell this story without people like that. He sold his own personal shares, gave me the money. When I even asked him, when do I continue to repay? He said, no. It is when you are satisfied. When I said, okay, sir, I'm ready to start paying now. And I said, what is the interest rate to calculate? He said, the exact amount that he gave me is what I should. And this was after about 2 or 3 years. And now, so when people are crying up and down today, you want to start a business, you don't have capital, I tell them it is not the end of the world. If you are good enough, angels will rise up for you. But if you know your onions.
Finish the sentence. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to the final segment of my discussion with Ibukun Adebayo, an entrepreneur who has persevered and who has succeeded. So Ibukun, let's try and offer advice for other people who may be at that point you were in 2004, or maybe even in August 2005, who want to do a business, or maybe who have started. But what are the lessons you've learned through all this that you want to impact on other people?
Having gone through almost 10 years, I'll tell you, just a couple of months ago is when we are just doing proper documentation of processes. When I mean proper, I'm not talking just operational. I'm talking HR, admin, finance, everything that, you know what, at this point, 10 years, that business must run now with
minimum.
I just come to work maybe 4 hours in a week, but anywhere I am, allow me to just be where I am. I can be in Bahamas, I can be in Hawaii. Just ask me and I will tell you what I feel about it. But people should understand. I think the first thing that I've learned is, you know what, the moment the business dream, the idea is coming, it must be properly documented. A lot of us, that documentation, so once the documentation is not there, like the Bible says, every form of doctrine will just be carrying you from, you are running from pillar to post. Today, the economy changes, you are changing. A competition opens next door, you are changing. There is nothing unique about you. There's nothing, your selling points are not clearly defined. It's just because maybe somebody is, and you know, when we are in this survival, this struggle state, the only thing you are looking for is money. It is important to document. It is important to be, no matter how, even the Bible says it. Write that dream, write it, cast it on stone, that anybody that sees it can understand it and they can run. It is very, very important. And money, anybody that goes into business, any entrepreneur that goes into business for money, most of the time they get their fingers burnt. So there has to be a desire that money cannot satisfy. I grew up loving to iron. The more I ironed, the more I enjoyed it. I found a way to turn that passion into a little business. The more I did it, the happier I was, and the more people appreciated it, and the customer base continued to grow, and it's still growing. So if it does not come out of passion, if there is no, I wouldn't say just divine desires, because I mean, you could be walking on the street and you just, and this is nice, and I can turn this around. How do I do it? What do I do? Instead of asking the questions when the challenges are there, it is better to ask the questions when you are just thinking in advance, so that you are prepared. What does it mean to run a business? A lot of entrepreneurs will run businesses without paying themselves salaries. Any money in the sales pocket, how much have you sold today? 15,000. You know what? Give me. You must cultivate a lot of discipline, integrity, like talking about people that can raise funds for you. I mean, integrity at that point is everything. I had people who gave me, when I was going to take the first major facility from Bank of Industry, they were asking for a property. And I looked up and down. I said, you know what? There is no property. But my mother just came up from, say, okay, she has one very small property. Even though there are 5 of you that have given birth to, and I'm not asking the rest, but you know what? This your grags. It will be very unfortunate for me if you make it and I did not. And she just gave the little property, and you know, miracles have just continued to happen. But I learned that integrity is important. Passion must be solid. The spirit of excellence, because I mean, for my kind of business, everybody knows if the shirt is clean and if it is well pressed. Everybody knows. So if you cannot do it better than what they would have done, then you cannot make their money. You can't take their money from them. So there has to be that spirit of excellence that, you know what, I'll do it better than the best. Of course, there are thousands of dry cleaners, and one must always clearly define his own market. You cannot play in every segment. I mean, jack of all trades is, And focus is important. How much do you have? You know, I was talking to somebody and I said, you know what, if you have a sledgehammer and you want to bring down a building, are you just going different places hitting it? You will concentrate on one place. When that pillar comes down, you know half of that building is already down. So focus is important for young entrepreneurs. I mean, in this day and age where there are no values and the moral levels have really, really dropped, everybody is looking at that person driving the Range Rover Vogue and this one wants to drive his own. And you know what? The entrepreneur, I mean, your own joy must be standard. If you have range, fine. And if you don't, the better. Fine. Because you just continue to fire on and say that, you know, someday. And you know, for the real entrepreneur, that someday never comes. Because your goal, there's always another level, and there's always another level, and there's always another level. So, for me, everybody in this country can succeed.
Successful entrepreneur.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm proud of what you've achieved.
Thank you, sir.
We'll be right back. That was a very inspiring and gratifying conversation. Especially for me, because I knew the beginnings of it. And I saw that young, aspiring entrepreneur who was seeking a way forward in 2004. And today I see that successful entrepreneur who is employing people, who is benefiting society. That can be the story of every single Nigerian. And that can be the story of anyone who makes up his mind that he just does not want to pass by without making an impact. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.